I worked as the sales director at Mike's company. One day, I came home to Mike's shocking announcement. I got a 29-year-old beautiful employee pregnant. Please, let's get a divorce. I was dumbfounded. It was all too sudden, and I couldn't organize my thoughts. Later, I told Mike I wanted to discuss it with the three of us and lay down on the bed in the bedroom. Emily was pregnant. The cause of infertility was me. Even though I thought I had fallen out of love with Mike, I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. The next day, I overheard a conversation between Mike and Emily. Why didn't you dump a woman who can't even bear an heir, Mike? She's good at her job. I have no reason to fire her. Then, we might as well keep her around. Once the child is born, we can have her take care of it. Smart thinking, Emily. Since she's an older woman, she probably knows a thing or two about childcare. I clenched my fists at their laughter. Talking as they please. Enjoy your laughter while it lasts. I'll make sure you deeply regret ever mocking me. I am Samantha, a 44-year-old. 10 years ago, I reconnected with Mike at a college friends gathering. Mike was the only son of a well-known local business. He lost his father when he was young, and now his stepmother serves as the chairperson, I heard. During college, I attended the same lectures as Mike. But due to the lively crowd around him and feeling inferior because of our different backgrounds, I never got the chance to become close. However, upon reconnecting, I found that he didn't flaunt his wealth and was actually quite friendly and cheerful. Later, Mike asked me out and eventually proposed to me. My family was just an ordinary household. I was nervous that his mother might oppose me as not suitable to be a bride, but when we went to greet his family, they accepted me without hesitation. My university education in accounting, finance, and management, and the qualifications I had earned seemed to have made a good impression. After our engagement, I started working at Mike's company, and now I serve as the director of sales, handling sales administration. Having grown up watching my parents' loving relationship, I always dreamed of marriage. I never doubted that with the person I love, I could build a warm home. So, it never crossed my mind that my happiness would shatter just 10 years into marriage. In the beginning, Mike was very kind to me. With his responsibilities as a president and his wide circle of friends, our weekends were almost always fully booked. Though they were Mike's friends, they were strangers to me. I thought I would naturally be left out, but he took me along to barbecues, camping, skiing, and introduced me to his friends. Among his friends were not only men but also women, couples, and married people. I, who had no friends of the opposite sex, felt uneasy about the concept of female friends, but Mike acted with propriety. Neither the female friends nor Mike showed any behavior that could lead to misunderstandings, and I was relieved. Single, married, same or opposite sex. Mike treated everyone equally and friendly, which made me, who is quite shy, respect him greatly. However, over the years, Mike's attitude towards me gradually cooled. He would frown upon seeing my face, sigh, and look displeased at the cosmetics I left in the bathroom. Mike, our wedding anniversary is coming up. I'll make a reservation at our usual restaurant. When I mentioned this, he replied sullenly. Can't you see I'm busy with work? I don't have time to go to a restaurant. But, every year, no matter how busy, you always made time for that day. Then Mike sighed deeply and said in a frustrated tone. If you want to go so badly, go by yourself. How long are you going to stay in this newlywed phase? His harsh words left me feeling dejected. He must be tired and irritated. With that in mind, I sent him a tie from his favorite brand as a birthday gift, but he still wasn't pleased. Samantha, you really have no taste. I'm tired of this brand. Why are you adding to the clutter in the drawer? I'm sorry. I had researched online and even visited the store to carefully choose it, only to be dismissed like that. I don't remember doing anything in particular to anger him. Despite claiming to be busy, he regularly goes out with his friends. Could it be that he doesn't want to go out with me? Such thoughts crossed my mind. Then, a decisive incident occurred. I was excited when he invited me to go to the shopping mall, so I got ready with enthusiasm. I wore a brand new outfit and did my makeup more glamorously for our private time, waiting eagerly for Mike to be ready. However, once ready, Mike looked at me and smirked. What's with that outfit? Wearing a skirt at your age is unbecoming. Eh? Is it not okay? Aren't you aware of your age? Once you're over 40, you're officially an old lady. The makeup is too bold. And curling your hair like that is just embarrassing. You used to be cute, but it's not the same now. His scornful tone pierced my heart. But Mike, your friends dress up, don't they? They can pull it off because they're beautiful. You're different, aren't you? Trying to look young at your age is just pathetic. It's not about trying to look young, it's just... Mike clicked his tongue in response to my rebuttal. Dress more normally. Do you want to embarrass me? Ah, forget it. I've lost the mood to go. It's ruined. Even though I went out of my way to invite you. He scratched his head in annoyance, threw his jacket on the sofa, and retreated to his study upstairs. Can I have ham sandwiches for lunch today? I want to eat in 30 minutes, so get it ready. His voice came down from upstairs. I was just a little excited about going out after a long time. Why did I upset Mike's mood? I bit my lip to hold back tears, changed back into my room clothes, removed my makeup, and started preparing lunch. Upon reflection, Mike is the same age as me, so if I'm an old lady, he's an old man. I may not be beautiful, but Mike is just an average middle-aged man, no different from others out there. Raised to be the next president, he has high pride and is full of confidence. Before we were married, those traits seemed appealing, but I never anticipated being looked down upon like this. Sometimes, I almost blurt out complaints. But since we work together, I have to face Mike at the company too. If we, as a couple, show an awkward atmosphere, it makes the employees uncomfortable. Thinking about it, I always end up yielding and trying to improve Mike's mood. At home, Mike may act like a traditional husband, but outside, he's personable and leaves a good impression on everyone he meets. He's the typical second-generation rich kid with no business skills but wins people over with his refreshing smile and affability. Even charming the presidents of partner companies. In contrast, his moodiness at home is like another person. I'm the president here. How can I eat such cheap food? Even instant noodles would be better. He always complains if the menu isn't to his liking, eating instant noodles beside me at the dinner table in a sarcastic manner. Also, Mike seems dissatisfied whenever I have plans to go out while he's at home. Going out without taking care of your husband, what kind of wife are you? I'm just going shopping for clothes. Lunch is ready to be microwaved, and I'll be back before dinner. You should serve the meals yourself as a wife. Living off the money I earn, you're living quite the life. Of course, I earn a decent salary from full-time work, although less than Mike as the president. I contribute to the household expenses, so I shouldn't be criticized. Besides, when Mike took over the company from his mother, he was inexperienced and caused trouble with business partners, leading to a big issue. I was the one who went around apologizing at that time. You were cute 10 years ago. Now you're just worn out, like an old rag. Lately, he's always picking on my appearance whenever he opens his mouth. You were disqualified as a wife the moment you couldn't produce an heir. I'm only keeping you here out of pity. Be grateful. I wanted children too, but it's not like we can force these things. Should we go to the hospital for tests? We might still make it in time. When I suggested this, Mike shook his head. I don't want to waste extra money, so no thanks. It's obviously your fault anyway. I'll let it slide because you're good at your job. When I felt frustrated, I would meet with my best friend, Nicole, and vent to her. We've known each other since college, so she knows about Mike and can sympathize. Mike puts on a good face in public, so he takes out his frustrations on you at home. He's hopeless. Nicole frowned as she rested her cheek on her hand. He used to go crying to you saying, "What should I do?" as if he made the company successful all by himself. Maybe he's forgotten his humble beginnings. I muttered softly. There was support from my mother-in-law and other executives, but I worked hard too. Thanks, Nicole. I feel better now. When I thanked her, Nicole said with a bright smile. I'm always on your side, Samantha. If anything happens, just tell me. I'll be there for you. Her words lifted my spirits somewhat. Lately, Mike's behavior has been visibly odd. Claiming to have social engagements, he's out almost every weekend. And on weekdays, he doesn't come home until after midnight. Yet, he doesn't seem tired at all, rather, he always looks like he's having a good time. On Sunday evening, after finishing my chores, I was reading in the living room. Mike had left in the morning without even telling me where he was going, as usual. He wouldn't be back until late at night. Surprisingly, Mike came home just after 8 p.m. He entered the living room, his cheeks flushed, unable to hide his excitement. "Hi. You're home early. Samantha, I got good news." "What? What happened?" "I'm going to be a father." I blinked in disbelief. "What?" "I got a 29-year-old beautiful employee pregnant." "Please, let's get a divorce." I was stunned and stared at Mike's face. It was too sudden, and I couldn't organize my thoughts. I'm finally going to be a dad. Finally, we'll have an heir. Mom will be thrilled. Wait a minute. You were cheating?" When I asked in astonishment, Mike replied without any sign of guilt. "Do you know Emily from the accounting department?" "Yes, well. She's a beautiful woman." "Right, she's beautiful and has a great figure. And she's still in her 20s, plus she's competent at work. After all, nothing beats a young woman." While I had heard of Emily's beauty, this was the first time I heard she was good at her job. "So, you're no longer needed. Let's get a divorce." His blunt words irritated me. I had accumulated a lot of dissatisfaction with Mike over the past 10 years, and I had no lingering affection for our marriage. But I'm not naive enough to just agree with a quick yes. If he has been cheating all this time, I must get a substantial amount in alimony from both of them. It's troublesome to be told this all of a sudden. "Could you invite Emily over? Let's discuss this together, the three of us." When I said this, Mike's voice perked up. "All right, I'll pass on the message." Watching Mike's cheerful gait as he went to take a shower, I closed my book. I went upstairs to the bedroom and lay down on my bed. I was overwhelmed by a sense of emptiness. The shock of being cheated on was overshadowed by the devastating news that she was pregnant. Mike had always wanted an heir. Of course, just because he wanted it didn't guarantee the birth of a boy. But before that, I had not become pregnant. If Emily was carrying his child, then the problem must lie with me. I wonder if we would have been happily raising a child together by now if I had been pregnant. Even though I thought I had run out of love for Mike, I couldn't stop the tears from flowing. The next day, with swollen eyes, I went to work early and made myself a coffee to wake up. As I was about to leave the corridor, I overheard Mike and Emily talking through the door. Was she shocked? Yeah, she looked completely stunned. I can't believe she hadn't noticed the affair. Hilarious, it's been going on for 2 years. Emily laughed with a snicker. Mike, why didn't you just dump her sooner since she can't bear an heir? She's useful like a housekeeper, and she's good at her job. It'd be awkward after a divorce, she'd probably quit and go somewhere else. Then just keep her around for now. You can always dump her later. Once the baby is born. Just make her take care of it since it's the boss's child. To this outrageous suggestion, Mike responded with admiration. Smart thinking, Emily. She's an old lady, so she probably knows a lot. If it's for the child, she'd probably listen. Their laughter at this idea made me clench my fists. How dare they talk like this? They won't be laughing like this for long. I'll make sure they regret ever making fun of me. After making the necessary preparations, I told Mike to invite Emily over in 2 weeks. And then, on the day, Emily arrived as if visiting a friend's house. Hello. Wow, your house is really nice. I've always wanted to come here. Emily's eyes sparkled as Mike arrogantly responded. What, you should have said that sooner. I even had her cook and entertain you. Ignoring my grimace, Emily looked around the room curiously and started wandering around. This kitchen is so spacious and stylish. It's nothing like my 1-bedroom apartment. Your place is pretty too. It has that young girl vibe. Really? Can I see the other rooms, Mike? To this brazen request, Mike grinned and led the way. This is bathroom, and next to it is the sunroom. A sunroom. I wish I had one. Oh, there are so few houseplants. Such a waste of a spacious area. Is this your taste, Samantha? Emily complained about the space with a glass table, an indoor hammock, and 2 potted plants. This woman came to apologize for the affair, yet she's criticizing someone else's home decor. What kind of mentality does she have? No, a sane person wouldn't propose having the CEO's wife raise their child. Ah, forget it. Samantha is not as kind as you, she kills plants immediately. She must be hated by them. That's too bad for Samantha. As they laughed, I bluntly said. You came here to talk, right? Please sit down at the table. I waited for Mike and Emily to sit on the sofa opposite the table before speaking. Let's confirm this again. Emily, you are pregnant with Mike's child. Is that correct? They nodded at my question. Samantha, I'm sorry. But this is fate. Emily looked at me with teary eyes and a pleading gesture. Her familiar tone grated on my nerves. The baby coming to me means that Mike and I were destined to be together from our past lives. Marrying you was a mistake. We need to correct this mistake and start over, or both you and Mike will be unhappy. I love you both too much to allow that. I couldn't help but smirk at Emily's absurd reasoning. Her self-defense was so outrageous that it moved beyond anger to sheer disbelief. I truly love Mike from the bottom of my heart. Please, let me have his child. Emily pleaded in a sugary voice, causing Mike to sniffle in response. It seems he was moved to tears. I love Emily too. It would be a shame for our child to grow up without a father, especially since it'll be the heir to Smith Industries. We need to raise together. Hearing Mike and Emily's earnest pleas only made me feel more disillusioned. Any lingering affection I had for Mike vanished with this incident. I no longer had any desire to continue as his wife. Fine, but I'm quitting my job. What? Keep working, Mike frowned. At your age, it'll be hard to find another job. Considering your contributions, we'll keep you on board. Really? I have management qualifications, I'm sure I can find something. Mike, you're so kind. Since the President Smith says so, Samantha, you should stay at our company. I don't mind at all. I sighed, glancing sideways at Emily's grinning face. That's not going to work. Because that woman. I paused for a moment before delivering the shocking news. She's been embezzling company funds. What? Emily's eyes widened for a moment before she awkwardly dropped her gaze to the floor. What did you say? Mike was visibly shaken. I kindly explained. This woman has been pocketing entertainment and travel expenses. She filled in blank receipts herself. I spoke calmly to a pale-faced Mike. Nobody noticed for 2 years, except for me. It only came to light after I conducted interviews with the involved parties. I sighed as I spoke. Considering it's a family business, I thought it might be time to cut ties. I'm fed up with seeing your faces after the divorce. So I'll be looking for another job. Stop casting weird suspicions. Emily protested with a forced smile. Where's your proof? David, the head of accounting you seduced, and the executive director Brian spilled everything. Want to see the video? As I reached for my phone, Emily covered her face with her hands and burst into tears. I'm sorry. My father's company went bankrupt, my mother collapsed from the shock and was hospitalized with an incurable disease. My brothers rebelled against our parents, racked up debts, and disappeared. My salary alone wasn't enough, so I ended up doing it. Emily sobbed dramatically, as if she had eye drops ready. Mike, easily fooled, embraced Emily's shoulders, looking somber. That's tough. You should have told me. I didn't want to trouble you, Mike. I've already spent all the money on paying off debts, so I can't return it. Mike seemed to genuinely believe Emily's blatant lies. She probably spent the money herself. What are you talking about? Don't be shy. Crying too much might harm the baby. How much was it? $20,000. Of course, I expect it all back. Depending on your attitude, I might even sue for embezzlement. Let's cover that amount. Who knows about this? The entire board. I'll take care of it. Emily, don't do it again. Yes, I won't. Thank you so much. As Mike patted Emily's head, I was utterly disgusted. This is an unbelievably lenient decision for a CEO to make. It feels like watching a terrible lead couple from an outdated romance drama that's no longer in vogue, making me feel nauseous. I suppressed my nausea and proceeded as planned. So, Emily, was your part-time job at the nightclub also to help your family? Mike showed a brief sign of disturbance at my words, but quickly pretended it was nothing. Our company doesn't forbid part-time jobs. I just wish you had reported it. Sorry. Emily's face tensed, which I did not miss. With a smile, I laid out the photos I had obtained on the living room table. I'm not sure what to think about this. It seems harmful to the baby, but if it was Emily's decision, then it can't be helped. Emily's expression changed instantly. She snatched the photos from the table. This was photos with customers. Mike, you probably don't want to see these, right? While Emily responded with a forced laugh, I laid out different photos in front of Mike. Mike gasped. No wonder, the photos showed Emily arm in arm with various men, cheerfully entering hotels. The photos implied she had intimate relationships with multiple men. Emily hurriedly gathered all the photos, but it was too late. As Mike was at a loss for words, Emily desperately made excuses. It's not what it looks like. I felt sick during a date outside work and went into rest. I didn't do anything wrong. Mike, you have to believe me. Emily pleaded with sparkling eyes, but even Mike seemed shocked. Is that so? Ah, you don't believe in me. That's terrible. You're the only one for me. Emily clung to her own arm and made a feverish appeal, causing even Mike to look bitter. Sighing, I stood up. I brought out my personal laptop from the bedroom, inserted a USB drive I received from the detective agency, and played the incriminating audio. Mike held his head and cried out as the indecent voices filled the room. Stop it, please. The walls of hotels are surprisingly thin. It seems you can easily record through them. Is it the technology or the equipment that's amazing? Emily came up to me, furiously berating me. You shameless woman. Are you doing all this just to break us up? Don't you care about Mike's feelings? You don't mind hurting him. I'm just exposing the truth. You're the one who hurt Mike. By the way, are you really pregnant? Or do you just want to secure the position of a CEO's wife? It's different. My belly will start to grow soon. It's definitely Mike's child. With that behavior, who knows whose child it is? A mother's intuition. Intuition, huh? It's laughable how brazen she is. Emily confronted me, loudly arguing back. Besides, those guys were just for fun, not serious relationships. The only one I truly love is Mike. Really? Sorry, but I can't understand your logic. I shrugged in resignation and turned to Mike. What about you, Mike? Even if the child looks nothing like you, are you planning to raise it as your heir? Well, that's... Caught off guard by his hesitation, I threw a sarcastic remark. So, any boy will do, even if he's not yours? Just like a cuckoo. What? It's my child, so it's not someone else's. And don't talk, you can't even get pregnant. Emily exploded in anger. You know, despite being unattractive, you always acted so high and mighty. I've hated you since I joined the company. Just because you're competent at work, you boss everyone around. She glared at me, furiously ranting. Stop flirting with male employees, don't seduce the bosses, you're always so annoying. Emily, emboldened by my silence, continued her vulgar tirade. You're just jealous because you're unattractive, right? You thought you'd won by marrying President Smith, but too bad for you. Emily laughed shrilly. Hey, cut it out. Mike was appalled by Emily's foul mouth. He tried to stop her by pulling on her sleeve, but the heated Emily continued her tirade. Can't have kids, not attractive. In the old days, you would have been divorced long ago, but you're lucky it's the modern era. But that's just because Mike is kind. Despite being defective, he pitied you and kept you at home. But that's all over now. Hand over the title of CEO's wife to me, and go back to being a spinster. I let Emily's insults wash over me, finding it too tiresome to respond when the living room door opened. Mike turned pale at the sight of the person who appeared. Mom. Ah, Mrs. Smith? You're just in time. Emily, with a bright face, stood up in front of my mother-in-law. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Smith. I'm Emily from the accounting department. I'm carrying Mike's child. It's definitely a boy. Since I'm pregnant with the heir, I'll be marrying Mike. The mother-in-law made a face of utter exasperation and pressed her temples. She let out a deep sigh and spoke in a low voice. Mike. Can you silence this frivolous woman for a moment? Frozen by the mother-in-law's cutting words. Emily was looked upon as if she were trash. Only Samantha is my daughter-in-law. Mike, this is what happens when you're too passive, you let weirdos take advantage of you. Emily, confused, forced a smile. Mrs. Smith, the child in my belly is Mike's. My intuition as a mother says it's a boy. I'll give birth to a worthy heir. Unlike the incompetent Samantha. The company needs a child for its future, right? However, the mother-in-law scowled at Emily's desperate plea and retorted. I don't care whether it's a grandson or granddaughter. Wanting to be the CEO's wife, are you sane? After embezzling company funds. You have the nerve to say that. But Mom, Emily has a complicated family situation. Can't we overlook this just once? The mother-in-law responded with a half-smile. Such a foolish child. Did you really believe that story? Seeing the documents the mother-in-law placed on the table, Mike looked pitifully crestfallen. Mom, you also had a private investigator look into Emily. I see. I chuckled as I looked at the documents. Your parents work for a major corporation, and your brother is studying at a university in England. Your family seems much wealthier than mine. So? The embezzled money was for your own use? Mike, in disbelief, stared at Emily. You've been photographed shopping in bulk at brand stores. Debts from card payments, that sort of thing, right? The mother-in-law snorted. Also, the gynecologist Emily visits is an acquaintance of mine. After a chat, it turns out she isn't pregnant at all. What? She's been going there for irregular periods, right? Emily turned bright red at the mother-in-law's sly remark. Old hag. Don't go spreading my personal information. All right. Just be prepared to be sued for embezzlement. Nicole, please proceed with the formalities. Certainly, Mrs. Smith. I smiled at Nicole, who appeared behind Mrs. Smith. Yes, my best friend Nicole is the company's legal advisor. When Emily's embezzlement came to light, I informed the mother-in-law and consulted with Nicole right away. This was the moment I had been waiting for to press the issue, just as Mike was pushing for a divorce. I'm sorry for lying about being pregnant. But my love for Mike is real. Believe me. Emily's teary plea softened Mike's expression. Emily. Yes, Mike. You'll have to take responsibility for the affair and step down as president. Mike and Emily gasped. Come on, just for an affair. An affair with a woman who embezzles company funds is serious. Not a single board member sided with you. This can't be happening. Mike crumbled, shaking his head. You were personable, good at entertaining clients, and made a good impression on other presidents. That's why we kept you around. Even though you're a dud. The mother-in-law continued sternly. But a foolish son who disregards a contributing employee like Samantha for a brainless young woman is frankly unnecessary. No way, fired. Please, have mercy. I was deceived by Emily. Mike almost cried. Mom, I was wrong. It was just a moment of folly. I'll break up with Emily, so please let me stay at the company. It's impossible to find another job at my age. Mike's pathetic plea to his mother-in-law made Emily seem disillusioned. What? You were so into me, and now you flip like this because you're afraid of being abandoned by your mother? You're the worst. Emily's eyes widened in anger. I only cozied up to you because you were the president. I wouldn't have given a second look to a greasy old man 15 years my senior if he were just a regular employee. What? You said you fell for me without caring about my title. You lying woman. Believing such nonsense, how naive. That's why you were easily deceived by me. Emily retorted, causing the mother-in-law to shake her head in disgust. Both of you are as bad as each other. In that sense, you're a perfect match. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Checking the front door monitor, there stood a police officer. They had arrived in a patrol car without sirens, considering the neighbors. Emily, who hadn't expected actual arrest, was visibly shaken. She even started flirting with the officer who entered the room. Officer, please listen. I was deceived by David, the head of accounting. We'll hear your story at the station. Please come with us. Dismissed coldly, Emily clicked her tongue and was taken away in the patrol car. Mike, who had watched in a daze from the doorway, stumbled back to the sofa and slumped down. David, her accomplice, was apparently arrested that day too. However, as both were first-time offenders, they were quickly released. Emily, having spent all the embezzled money, had no savings and had to take out loans to repay the embezzled funds and my compensation. Naturally, after being fired, she had to take on a part-time job during the day in addition to the nightclub she had been working at. She ended up working around the clock, weekdays and weekends alike, and it seems she no longer had the time to care about her appearance. When I saw her in town recently, she was emaciated, with no trace of the once beautiful employee. After the divorce, Mike was spared from being fired thanks to his mother's mercy, but was transferred to a regional branch. The story of his dismissal as president spread among the employees, and Mike continued his work uncomfortably, ostracized by his peers. Cut off by his mother and with his savings drained by compensation to me, Mike begged me for reconciliation. Samantha, I was wrong. I won't cheat again, let's start over. Your ex-husband is in financial trouble, you won't abandon me, right? Why don't you ask one of those young girls you love so much to support you? You still have a job, even if it's low-paying, so work hard. I rebuked him over the phone and blocked his contact, finally making him give up. According to my former mother-in-law, Mike's once cheerful personality is gone. He spends his days silently working, locking himself in his room on days off. Mike's cousin, who was the vice president, took over as the new president. Recognized for my past performance, I was promoted to the board of directors. The new president, though not a great speaker, is sincere and respected by the employees. My work has become busier than ever, but my days are fulfilling. Though divorced from Mike, I occasionally dine with my former mother-in-law. Despite being the company chairwoman, she never pressured me about producing an heir. This incident deepened my respect for her character. Even though my ties with Mike are cut, I hope to maintain a close mentor-mentee relationship with my former mother-in-law.